intro trailer again, finally, for the very first time in 2021. So, although we're a bit late maybe, Happy New Year to everyone and welcome back to the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series powered by VCO for the very last event, which is the relegation evening. My name is Randy Butler and I got alongside me, not Ruben Correa Alves, like it says in the actual overlay, because he really likes to get the spotlight. No, it's Lee Demon Smith. Lee, how are you?
I'm very good. I mean, Ruben is here, technically, so, you know, he is here. But obviously, he stepped in for me for the final race of the championship, and that is done and out the way. And now it's all about who is going to take part in Season 3.
Yeah, in case you're not familiar with our system or you didn't watch too much of Season 2, then first of all, shame on you. You should, because it was great racing action. But basically, while the bottom 5 of GT Pro dropped out immediately, the next 5 in the standings, they will be here in the relegation racing against position 6 to 10 from the GT Challenge Split 1 for their very last chance to make it into Pro or stay in Pro, depending on where they're coming from. So tonight we will actually see 3 races, 3 short sprint races. We'll go by points, and then at the end we will know which 5 drivers will actually stay in Pro or make it to Pro. As you can see on the overlay, Silverstone will be our very first stop in rainy UK. What else? What other weather should we ever have in the UK? And then Sebring, so over to the US, and then back to Germany for Nurburgring last round.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I mean, if anything to go by on the previous promotion relegation we had going into Season 2, it was definitely explosive action, real tense moments. It went down to the very last race, and that's what we want. We don't want to see people running away with it. Well, I'm sure the drivers would be happy with that, but we don't want that from an entertainment perspective. We want people testing the limits and really pushing for it. Obviously, with only the 10 drivers tonight, it does make things a lot more compact. So if anybody makes a mistake, it's going to cost them.
That is true, and it will give us a bit more space, I would say, on the racetrack, because we saw space is needed for some of these drivers during the GT Pro Series that we just had this season, because it was a tight one, a lot of fights, and points being spread out across several drivers. So this is the list of the 10 drivers that fight for the last remaining 5 spots for GT Pro Series. We got the 2 Porsches with Shara and Pef. We got a lot of Corvettes, obviously. Nico Barkley will have another go for 1 ACO, and Nuno Pinto for AAA Esports. Interesting though, we have a few people coming in because others dropped out. One of them is Andonovsky for Drillers with his Corvette. He's basically a replacement for someone dropping out last minute. So that's his, one and only chance now to make it into Pro. We also have a Ferrari 488 by Kaspar Stolze and the John Alesi team. That will be very interesting to see how the Ferrari will do today. And then 2 Sancho cars also with Richards and Cedar Vaya joining the Sancho storyline, basically, of this year, of being in every event and trying their best in every event. I love that. But it's done nearly for qualification already, Lee, because we only had 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there's a certain Butler Powerman doing pretty well in the Porsche at the moment. Actually 1 and 2 in qualifying. So looking very good for the 2 Porsches, obviously coming into this one.
Things in 2021 I didn't saw coming.
I mean, maybe it's the rain, maybe it's Silverstone, maybe it's the cars just
probably
performing
not
better than the
Silverstone.
Callaway's. But yeah, I mean, it's 1 and 2 right now. Shara and Pepe, so doing really well.
Could be the rain, let's be honest here. Didn't we had good Porsche results when it was raining? I remember that Payapaf really had a good run in Spa, I think, in the rain, but he ran the wet tires early on in the dry, and that cost him that much in the end.
Yeah, and if you recall, obviously back in the Season 2 promotion relegation, Pepe actually ran away with it, didn't he? He dominated at that time, whereas obviously we'll see whether it's the same again. You know, we know he's got some great race pace. We're absolutely well aware of that. He's always performed well. Season 1, he actually performed really well, I felt, throughout it. So hopefully we'll see whether he can step it up. Nuno Pinto, I was just about to talk about, but he's actually slipped down. And Andonovsky just snuck in there. As I say that, Nuno Pinto goes over the line with another slightly quicker time. And Pev now on pole with a last-minute purple.
I'm really surprised to see Pinto up there as well, because Nuno Pinto had a very tough season this time. It's like he had a good, kind of good-ish season 1, and season 2 he was struggling massively. And luckily he got here into the relegation. As I said already, it's the second time for Pef and Shara to be in relegation. It's the first time for Nanovsky. I think it's also the second time for Nuno Pinto, actually. I think he might had been in a relegation on season 1 as well. Ferrari only in 8th, so that didn't really work out so far. But with 3 different tracks, there's still a lot to come. And we also know this is just the starting order, might changes completely after lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So, immediately getting things underway. What a great start for the Butler Pal. I'm going to say, I'm going to throw it out there. Rene won't. He's just trying to keep quiet with the Sancho's down in 6th and 7th. He's just,
I will do
confident.
Sancho bias now, just to get people not shouting at me now for 2 Porsches leading.
I don't think anybody can shout about 2 Porsches leading at the moment, especially after season 2. Obviously, it was the Callaways all the way. And it's great to see the Porsches that are up there. Obviously, you can see there are still a lot of Callaways in there. The Corvettes, they were predominant throughout Season 2. Obviously, you're looking to see changes in Season 3. But there is a Ferrari also in there as well. We shouldn't discount that. We'll see whether the Ferrari can also keep up. Obviously, didn't have the greatest of times throughout the season.
I'm kind of sad about seeing Turkka Häkkinen in 10th, because for that name alone, I like him to be in the top 3, so we can say that name very, very often. Like it. But it's a 20-minute race, so it's similar to the sprint races that we see as first part of our normal Pro Series events. And with the rain, it will be especially critical for everyone to have a good run through turn 1, because otherwise, you can slip away there, and then all of it is gone, because with only 10 cars, there's not many people around to catch up on and use that slipstream on Hangar Straight to get back.
No, absolutely. We had a fantastic race here, actually, last time. We had a good discussion about the track as well. Look, I'm biased. I'm from England. I think Silverstone's one of the greatest tracks out there. I'm just going to throw it out there. There's lots of overtaking positions. It's not one of those tracks where it's just static and you're waiting for that one last or Hail Mary on the final corner or the first corner, where you tend to get it a lot. So we'll see how this one lays out, whether we do see maybe the Porsches run away with it. Obviously had great qualifying throughout, so clearly Pev's got good pace along with Shara. We'll see whether Nuno Pinto can put a challenge in. If I'm not mistaken, a former Butler Pal man.
And Nuno Pinto, yes, before he was joining AAA, but it doesn't matter, because I can tell you the BPM drivers are not even in the same channel, because they normally don't talk to each other during the race. So these two, there's absolutely no team command whatsoever. But we're starting into the first sprint race of a Season 2 relegation. There's a Sancho car going sideways in turn 1. No, Richard, very bad luck there. Turn 1, that is done for him that early in the race, really slipping away. Luckily, no big impact, I think, but with everyone going 3, 4, 5 wide, there wasn't much space for Richard, and seems like that didn't work out. Kasper Stolze currently in 5th. He has Luis Felipe right behind him for HM Engineering, but look how they go 3 wide. 180 Barclay just went through there, 1-2 positions, but the fight is still on. It seems like Path actually had a great start, running away with it a bit, but Nuno Pinto locked on already to Shara.
I just felt that maybe Peo was backing them up a little bit too much at the line, because suddenly they were just all waiting to go, waiting to pull the trigger, and that's why we saw maybe 5 wide, I think, which is never going to happen going through that opening straight. Sure, it's a big wide stretch, but not that wide. Kasper, though, doing pretty good in that Ferrari, got himself up to 5th place. We did, I think, qualify down in 7th and 8th, so he's really managed to gain some ground on there. And Novsky once again into the Callaway, still in 4th place, so it does seem that they've settled themselves a little bit there. We're just getting a little look at the replay at the start here. This is Matt Richards. We'll see how he gets sideways, whether this is just a case of locking up, just a slight bit of contact there, and then locking up, and in the rain, you're always going to end up sideways.
The big question is, was that him being late on the brakes and tapping the HM Engineering car, or was he tapped from the back? Because we couldn't see that. What we see is Cedar Vire fighting against Turkka Häkkinen, who now won that one spot, with Richard dropping all the way down, already 12-second of a gap. But Häkkinen, he wants to have another spot. He wants to retake Cedar Vire, because we saw that in the previous season relegation, that every single point counts, because it was really, really close last time with who's going to pro and who's staying. So Tuka Hakkinen, he wants to do everything by now to pass Via. Let's see if we get that from Nico Bartley's view. Yes, we do from one ACO. So that is turn 1. There's Richard on the left, and it was actually Richard himself tapping the rear of the HM Engineering Corvette and throwing away his first sprint race here in the relegation.
Just a little too fast into the curve, really. I mean, it is a fast curve. You can go. It's not flat out, but you do dip away a little bit. But I don't think he just got caught out maybe by the curve a little too early. But a little bit of adrenaline, maybe, you know, pumping in certainly the first lap. You know, obviously once the green flag drops, hopefully Matt can regain his composure. And as you say, there is obviously 3 races tonight, so this is not just a one and done job. There are going to be 3 20-minute races, so plenty of time. As my phone, I forgot to mute, apologies for that. But Payoff, what a great start from him. Going back to what we said, you know, he did exact same thing throughout the season 2, obviously the qualifiers for that one, and delivered in style, and it does look like he may well continue that way. But there is a challenge up the front. Nuno Pinto on the backside of Chiara.
I'm pretty sure that Pinto will get into position to make a move on Shara here. And we see that Shara currently not really putting in that pace that Payo is doing up front. Like, we're having that Corvette all over the rear view mirror of that little Porsche. That must be intimidating, I'll tell you that. There's quite a gap, though, to Antonovsky. It seems like he either doesn't want to be too close in those rainy conditions, or he currently can't keep up with them at all. While we saw Payopov actually dropping the fastest lap time by a second. That's I think that's Nico Bartley going wide, what we saw previously, right, where he lost the position against
lost the tail by the looks of it there a little bit. Yeah, it looks like twitchy. Yeah. Could go on the curb, didn't he? Got on the curbstone, got a little twitchy. You could see just before that he was almost bent out of shape as well, so it looked like he was really on the tether, and finally does fall away. So it does drop him down into 7th place, and of course, as you mentioned, plenty of chances to try and gain. Let's see if Pinto's going to maybe look to make a move as they come into the tight, twisty section. Still not really close enough to even put a challenge in at the moment. Just happy to maybe stay positioned. We've seen this quite regularly, obviously, in the opening sort of 10 minutes. It's just a case of jostling position and seeing if they can work something, see if there's any mistakes. He's looking. And speaking of mistakes, Shara definitely made one there for him to be right up on his bumper. Meanwhile, in the distance, Payopev is running away with it.
Yeah, it seems like this is really Payopev's race to lose, basically. As long as he doesn't make a mistake, there's still just another 30 minutes, but we know how crazy GT Pro Series can get. And talking about GT Pro Series, today we will also talk a bit about Season 3, because there will be Season 3. Don't worry, there will be more GT Pro racing action. There will be GT Challenge going on for Season 3 and for this year. So there will be plenty of races to watch and witness. We might also, I can at least tell you, there will be quite a few changes to Season 3, and I think that will make it even more interesting for everyone out there to watch and to race in. But let's concentrate for now on the GT Pro Season 2 relegation. It's Shara against Nuno Pinto. They have been teammates before in Season 1, actually. That was when Nuno Pinto was racing for BPM back then. So they know each other, but I wonder if, like, normally I would say, from looking at this in the rain, Nuno Pinto is a good driver in rain. I definitely think he can do a move here, but then it's also, do you want to risk it? Like, what happens if it goes wrong? What if you lose more points? What if you end up like Richards and trailing by 12 seconds? Then, yeah, all the points are gone.
Absolutely, and I'm just wondering if the people down the back maybe want to try and make some chances. And Nico Barkley, the man I was just about to talk about, kindly switched to by Ruben, was putting a challenge in, but actually went a little bit wide after the start finish there, so it wasn't quite kissing the apex, and you can see he was a little off it there. Sidovaya just on these back as well. A driver that certainly had his chances throughout the season, Sidovaya. You know, we saw him in and around 10th place a number of times, which was obviously always the flip position when we went from the sprint race to the main race, and obviously he was often on the. I think he hit the 11th place a couple of times. You think, oh, he's not going to be quite starting on the pole. But surprised to see him down here. I think I was expecting him to maybe step up and put a better performance in than this first race, but maybe Silverstone is not his track. We've seen it many times where people have a preferred track and tracks he just simply can't kick it on. Obviously, we're on the Silverstone International today. So the layout we're looking at. But at the moment, positions staying as is, Rene. Nobody putting in some big challenges. We're into the final 10 minutes, though.
Yeah, I think it's the rain actually keeping everyone away from doing really crazy stuff as we did during this season. We see Kasper Stolze, he's actually the driver with most gained positions, 3 in total, which put him up to 5. And if we keep in mind that top 5 actually make it to GT Pro after 3 races, then 5 is a good spot to be in. While we're riding on board with Nuno Pinto and his AAA Esports Corvette down Hunger Straight, that's Shara right in front of him. Visibility, still fine, not too bad, and typical British weather, I would say.
Well, considering he's actually right in the tailpipe of Chiara, yeah, his visibility isn't actually too bad. It could have been a lot worse. I'm sure Nuno Pinto is having Peja Pev is having a grand old time up the front. That may be why Chiara's actually giving him a bit of space to get that just that little bit of extra visibility in there. Hello, who's that? Just gone flying off. Is that Richards? No, it is Cedar Via, I think, that just went flying off the track there. We saw the wheel go, so he is done for this race.
What a start into the relegation for Sancho. I would say one of the big teams that have a huge following among the rFactor 2 community, but that was very unfortunate here for Cedar Via. Is he just... did something disconnect
that his
for
wheel?
him?
That's got to be his wheel disconnected.
Yeah,
because he just went straight.
He was
There's
catching
no
the car
braking,
previously,
there was no nothing, yeah.
and then he's just rolling away basically into the wall. But whatever it was, probably a hardware disconnect. I'm pretty sure about that. It was devastating for Sancho in this first race. Now they're 9 and 10. Cedar Via will probably not be able to finish the race. We talked about that. We saw Devin and Chet talking about it. It is important to finish the races here to get the points because you never know what will happen with the next 2 races on these short circuits. As you saw, it's 1 minute 9 seconds per lap here. And in Sebring, we will actually visit school, which is a very, very short circuit. We see it here. He catches the car, then it's all good. And then all of a sudden, no input at all anymore, rolling into the wall. Tyre says, goodbye, that's it for me.
We had a similar with, was it Brzezinski? I feel like it was Brzezinski during the season. We had a similar moment where he was doing really well and suddenly, boom, veered off to the right. And we saw him doing it in the Formula E on the rFactor as well. So it's not too surprising. I mean, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get a hardware malfunction, your cable comes out, it's not quite in properly. A cat chewed the cable, which has happened to me this morning, which is always very nice. My poor webcam has paid the price, €200. There goes the wire, chewed through. You can't do anything about it.
Talking about you can't do anything about having Nuno Pinto in your rearview mirror and waiting for his chance while we reach the last roughly 7.5 minutes of race 1. I'm pretty sure that Nuno might just wait for the very last moment and not give Shara any chance to get back and to recover from an attack from the AAA Esports driver.
I think Richards is about to have an attack at the back here. Yeah, you can see he's all right on the back of Turka Hakkinen. And that is going to be a clean inside move. It's just going to force Turka. You know what? He had the line, and Turka in the end just had to give up on it and try to stick it. Yeah. I mean, it was clean. I felt like Turka had to back out of it. I felt like he just tried to stick in there too long.
Yeah, it was as clean as my room back then at my parents' when my mom taught me to actually clean it. And I think that was the same reaction. Like, yeah, it's clean, kinda, no.
He just got, he just took his full slice of the track.
Well, that means Sancho is actually regaining 1 position. That's important. We see the Via being out.
Let's see. Here we go. Let's see how clean this was. I think it's clean. I think he's through, and he's complete. He's got. Oh, and maybe he lost his tail. He lost his tail a bit.
Slipping.
Yeah, he lost it. Okay, he went a bit quick.
Yeah, you can't judge the attack before it's done. Right? That's it.
Yeah, he basically locked up. It is what he did. Is he locked up a bit and it's fine. It's fine. Turka's maybe have another attack on him here. See if he can get some revenge in the same corner.
Let's see, with Matt Richards now being in front. I mean, he must be pretty quick, or Turka Hakkinen must have lost a lot of time last lap because there had been a 12-second gap previously. So let's see. That's Turka Hakkinen. Now we get it from every perspective.
Ruben's just giving us it. He's like, no, look. Donk.
He's just losing the rear.
I will concede. It wasn't the cleanest of moves.
He might still have been applying brakes a bit if he overshot it slightly, and then trail braking into the corner. That transfers all the weight to the front, and then the rear of that Corvette tends to get slightly tail happy, and then it's gone. it's still a Pep, Shara, Pinto, top 3, and Nuno Pinto now with a slightly bigger gap to Shara. While we're on board with Turka Hakkinen, who seems to not be able to follow Matt Richards from Sancho here on Silverstone. So it seems like it's not the right track for Hakkinen here for Nito Velux to score strong, but there are another 2 coming. We'll bid at Sebring in the US, and then we'll head over to Germany for Nurburgring for the finale. Let's see if the Porsches can actually keep that up. That would be a big surprise. I have to say, normally, if we look at the GT Pros Season 2, then the Porsches have been quite far in the back, right? But they always had been in front, if they finished, in front of the 5 that go to relegation. So this is kinda a straight copy from the normal results.
Kinda.
We're just used to the Corvettes being in front, right? Because that's what happened during the season with all the other cars. But yeah,
I mean,
wasn't a chance.
I honestly, like, we obviously, you know, everybody has seen a lot of the Callaway Corvette. There's no doubt about it. I think it's quite refreshing to see them not at the front for once. And both Porsches performing admirably, but we'll see. Of course, this is in the rain, this is on Silverstone. We could have a very different result when we move on to the next 2 tracks.
Definitely, like nothing is decided yet, which is one race, and we still have 4 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of time to actually make mistakes. We'll see. I like Andonovski with being this late into the relegation, because he replaced a last-minute drop basically from the relegation roster. So he came in here, and he's doing very well for that. I mean, he's in 4th right now for Drillers Esports. They will be happy about his performance so far. I thought we'd get another replay of that crash, but we don't. We'll actually see Payo Path the start into turn 1, and then we'll see that Sancho car just trading out of it. Yep, there in the background. But look at how Payo actually launched off the line there. He had a really good start. Got a gap immediately, and then that was Kasper Stolze on the inside with a Ferrari 488 making another move.
So Shara has managed to withhold the pressure, it seems, with just a couple of moments remaining. Let's have a look back at the start here. Kasper really trying to squeeze it. This is where we were talking about. They were 4-5 wide at one point, and then once you hit this, this chicane, you just can't really hang on in there with that many. It quickly slims the line down. They do manage to hold 2 wide, but I tell you what, Kasper, I think he was very lucky to get away with the inside line there, because it could have easily clipped and spun someone there.
Definitely. I mean, that was very close with Andonovski. Both drivers were acting well, keeping their line. Nothing happened. Andonovski actually kept the position in front of Stolze. So I think it was fine. Wasn't the nicest of moves, obviously. Don't want to dive in that deep, but both got away well with it. So I'd say it's not that bad at all. Nuno Pinto is in 3rd, and there's 1 second gap between him and Timothy Andonovski for the Pin Sim Drillers Esports car. Beautiful in white and orange in the background. Obviously, you can't really tell in the rain, I have to say. Colors are a bit easier. It's not raining out there. But drivers did well so far. Besides Cedar Vire, that unfortunate, probably hardware effect or whatever it was, that cost him this race. But there will be another 2 races, so even more chances for him to come back. And we know that even with the DNF in the first race, there's still a big chance that you could make it into the top 5 depending on what happens in Sebring. Sebring will be completely different to Silverstone, rightly. I mean, we will have a very, very short track, very tight. No, I would, from looking at it, half the size width of Silverstone, and very bumpy.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Sebring is a big, bouncy track, so it's really can differ on, obviously, how the drivers set up their car, whether they can ride the bumps, whether the Corvettes do maybe step up due to the bumpiness, where the Porsches will struggle, especially when you think of the big finish straight, the big corner leading into the straight. Obviously, really big bumpy corner, speeding all the way around there, and then that quick left-hander continuing on in the bumps. It really can catch quite a few drivers out. We saw a lot of overtake chances there on Sebring, and we saw a lot of mistakes made there as well. So it really will test the drivers to see whether they continue. At the moment, Pev, with a minute to go, has dominated this race, led from the start. Shara has finally got himself that gap with Nuno Pinto, whether that's a case of Pinto backing off and just accepting the fact he's going to take third place, which is not bad. We're talking about the top 5 going through to next season, and they, at the moment, these guys on the top front, they don't want to pressure and make a big mistake. They just need the consistent point finishes.
Yeah, I think Sebring will be a bit more heated up. We had that in the last relegation as well. It was a huge fight at Sebring due to the limited space and very short lap times. So it will be interesting to see if we see a change of pace, basically, from going from Silverstone to the track in the US. Or we're on board with Andonovsky, if I'm not mistaken. That should be the Pinsim Drillers Esports car. Yeah, that's Nuno Pinto in front of him. So a 4th, 3rd, and a 2nd. Gaps are quite good for everyone, I would say. There's no one feeling super pressured. And we've got 0 minutes remaining, which means this is the very last lap. And for the top 5, that means just stay calm, bring back the car, cross the finish line, and then you're still looking very, very good for the last 2 races here in the relegation. I have to say, this short version going over that curve always looks weird to me.
Yeah,
it looks like someone went off track.
Especially if you've raced the main circuit so many times, you're just like, wait, what? Oh, okay, it needs to turn. And then it's like that little dip down the hill and a sharp right-hander. It completely can screw you over so many times if you're not prepared. But obviously, these drivers have been practicing hard on this track. And Pev, the man on your screen, has dominated from the start. It's great to see the little Porsches performing so well here in a rainy Silverstone as he crosses the line and takes first place in the first race here of 3. A great start for Butler Motorsport.
Pev will be very happy about that. He just comes off the Formula E Accelerate series where he's driving for Dragon Penske, the real Formula E team, and he got very unlucky there. Had someone spinning in front of him during qualification and then dropped far down, then got into another crash where 2 people spun in front of him and blocked the entire track. It's an E-Prix circuit, right? There's not much space. So quite unlucky lately, but now comes back with a win here in the very first race. That's actually Nuno Pinto and Andonovsky now a lot closer than they had been before. But Stolze will be happy, but it also shows that Felipe has a chance there. 6th HM Engineering was very close. Nico Bartley, one of the drivers I would assume to be further up ahead. Same for Matt Richards and Cedar Vire. Took a hack, and I have to say, I didn't saw that much from him yet, but that is me basically ignoring his performance in GT Challenge, so that is on me. Does not mean he's not quick enough. So will be very interesting to see if any of these guys might just favor Sebring and get scoring big over there.
Yeah, the biggest disappointment, obviously, for the Zanchos, they started, I think, 6th and 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, we saw Matt Richards with the big out right at the start, and then Cedar Vire, around about halfway through the race, had an issue. Don't know what it was, but clearly there was a problem with his control unit, which took him out of the race, unfortunately. Hopefully, they can step it up as we move on to Sebring.
Yeah, we will do that, but we'll do that right after a short break, actually, because we'll get the points ready for you guys so everyone is informed of where we're at right now, and then we'll be back with more racing action in just a bit. us a short break and lovely pictures from rFactor 2. But now we're back, not at this track actually, because we're leaving Silverstone in the UK. But we're back with the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series, powered by VCO Relegation. The very last chance for these drivers to make it into Pro. And now we're here in the US at beautiful Sebring, not for one of the big endurance races, no, but for another 20-minute sprint race and a short qualification, obviously, with now everyone that wasn't top 5 in the first race hunting for these viable points they need to make it into Pro.
Yeah, and this is obviously do or die time for some of the drivers. Certainly the guys down the back of the pack. Obviously, a big DNF is going to really hurt. Cedar Vire obviously did pretty well throughout the season. We saw the potential coming out from him. I just want to see if he can now step it up. It's going to have to be a big performance, though, for these guys. Obviously, Matt Richards, he's going to be disappointed with his start on Silverstone. You know, that spin out in that first corner definitely cost him a lot. We saw him put a aggressive move on Hakkinen. I think it's safe to say, so we know they've got it in it. We're on to Sebring. Obviously, it's all about Sunset Bend, that big old bend straight after the Ullman Straight. So straight into it. We've seen so many overtaking maneuvers there. I'm looking to see there. I'm looking at turn 1 as well, and maybe at the hairpin at turn 7 to see whether we're going to get a couple of people making some moves. We didn't see too many overtakes on Silverstone.
That's true, but I think there was the same in the first relegation that we ever had. Like, the first race was kind of calm with everyone just checking out where they are in terms of pace and who they're probably racing for their spots. And so Sebring could be a completely different story, especially since we're on the short school version, which means when you come around turn 1, the fast left-hander, you have to smash the brakes, really get the car to stop, and then go 90 degrees to the right.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that in qualifications last time. It's at turn 2. You basically cut from turn 2 to 14, right? It's that horrible, tight corner.
It's a very interesting connector, I would say, because it changes the surface, it changes width, and the angle is very unusual, let's say, for a racetrack. Like, if it's not a smaller version of it, so for all the big GP tracks, for example.
I mean, you just talked about, obviously, the difference in Silverstone. This is like night and day. Like, at least Silverstone, yeah, you kind of have that curve and it kind of throws a curveball, but this one is just so tight. It's almost like an afterthought that they put it in.
We actually need to get night racing. Why is there no night racing? Jimmy Allison, why is there no night racing at Sebring? This would look beautiful.
I mean, that's the curve we're talking about right there. Obviously, it's the cut between tracks. It really is.
We will get rid of the fences there, so they will not be there. We will get rid of them, but we should leave them there just for the fun bit. Let's see what happens. Oh, people travel to Sebring. You saw that there. A lot of virtual people, because obviously currently there's not much traveling. But here is the actual scoreboard coming out of the first race in Silverstone. Payapath leading with 35 points in front of Shara, 30, then 28 for Nino Pinto, 27 for Nanovsky, and 26 for Kasper Stolze. So there's only 1, 2, you see that? Like, look, 25, 24, 23, 22, and then 0 for Cedar Vire. And that's exactly why I said you need to do everything you can to finish the race, to get those points, because between Nico Bartley and Kasper Stolze, it's only 2 points, right? Like, you can make up. You can get back into the top 5. But now with 0, it gets a lot harder, and you basically need to look at winning a race or winning 2 races.
Yeah, good to see Ian Yovsky in the chat there saying the Porsche is OP. Said no one ever, certainly throughout the season. But yeah, it was a great performance from both Peo and Chiara, clearly setting things up. And honestly, at the moment, I think Peo was looking good in qualifying. We just had a quick little session of them going around, and he was looking good on the time. So we'll see how that blends into the qualifying session time, see whether it actually plays it. They are just on the outlap now, so we'll get to see how those times lay out. As you mentioned, it is the shorter track, the school track, so it definitely changes the outset of this track. It does mean there is 2 big overtaking points at the end of the Ullman Straight in the Sunset Bend, and in turn 1 just on the start-finish straight. They are the 2 points. We have seen people make overtakes on this section that you see in Stoltz. Sorry, not where Stoltz is right now. On the tight section, we have seen overtakes there. Kind of forced. but we have
Kinda
seen them
risky.
there. Yeah.
It's not easy. I mean, interesting to say, though, that Erhan Yovsky is the one saying Porsche OP, because I know many people at Studio 397 saying Erhan Yovsky OP, and that we should probably balance him rather than the sim. He got a lot of wins lately, so
here we go. Here's the
just
section.
relaxing watching that. I love that. I mean, this
it's so
connector
tight.
is so tight. We see coming from a very wide track into that narrow section, and then across again. These are running in private sessions, as you can see right now. So Shara and Stolz are both on their own version, basically, of Sebring, doing the lap time in these 5 minutes, just making sure that no one can block each other whatsoever, so nothing happens. Seems like Stolz a bit of wiggling out of that corner onto the back stretch. Let's see if the Ferrari might be a bit quicker here than the Porsche, and then it's this braking zone to get into Sunset Bend. You don't want to go too far to the outside, but you want to carry momentum, and it looks like Shara a slightly better lap in case they both started at the same time, obviously, because we know scenes side by side, and that might not be the case.
No, we'll see. Of course.
No, he was worse.
It was, yeah, it's slightly worse. It's Andonovski at the moment that is in the number 1 spot, only just by, wow, 2,000th of a second. Okay, that's what we like to see. That is tight.
It definitely is. So Shara down 6th. Richards and Vire, both Central cars, 7th and 8th. So they definitely want to get a quicker lap time. And Andonovski, he was 4th in the previous race. Now on 1st. That obviously gives him a big boost if he could finish like that. But that's a big if, because there's still 20 minutes of racing to come. Path 2nd. Stolz, so that is basically the top 5 again from last time. Filippa now in 4th. He was 6th in the previous race. And also Bartley from the back now in the front, because Nuno Pinto still without a valid lap time, so he might have been running across the lines and got a slap on the wrist by Jimmy Allison, so he needs to get a time in now. Look at Sidovaya, really good sector times. Oh, he's actually propelling himself to 2nd, while Payo Pef is taking pole position in the Porsche again, and Andonovski, due to that, dropping to 3rd, but he might have another shot. Let's see. 1 minute 7, so they definitely all have another lap if they have enough fuel. It seems like Payopev didn't. So Nico Barclay now on his 3rd lap, currently in 8th. So many things, like so many rankings changed in just 5 seconds.
Yeah, you can see just a second between them as well. Ooh, a little out of sorts there. Here's Felipe just trying to keep it tight around that little school corner, and then down the big Allman straight into the big Sebring Sunset. I mean, it is Sebring, technically. Into Sunset Bend. Bounce, 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 bounce. Horrible, horrible on the wheel, your hands, your vibrations, your car, and then a little bit wide. And obviously we heard Jimmy getting pretty hard, and anybody that's taken place will know all about that white line on Sebring. Do not cross it on the circuit. Oh, and that was a fast time, actually. We looked like he got a little out of sorts, but look at that. 1/100th of a second behind Payopev.
Yeah, Felipe had a really good lap here for HM Engineering in the Corvette in 2nd right now. Cito Vaya down to 3rd. And Nuno Pinto, he's still in 10th, still without a valid lap. So this is his last shot. 21 seconds, bit wobbly into Sunset Bend over the bumps. That looked a bit better now, all the way to the wall. That was tight with the wheels there, with the tires across the line, and only 9th for him. So Nuno Pinto, 3rd in Silverstone, but starting 9th at Sebring. There's a huge chance now for everyone that was behind Nuno Pinto to gain some points and actually get back into the fight for the top 5.
Just half a second between all 10 drivers. They definitely tightened it up towards the end there, but Chiara way down after a 2nd place. So as you mentioned, there's a lot of points out there. Turco also definitely stepping up. Hakkinen doing what he can. We'll see how it relates though into race pace, because obviously we know things can change, especially when the pack reaches that tight connector. That's where things could get very interesting. But Payopev once again on pole.
He put a lot of time into practice as soon as they heard what was going on here, and it seems to have paid off for Pav. Not so for Richards, Pinto, and Shara, at least at Sebring. And I mean, I'm not even quite sure if they got the email across. Because I remember that Jimmy Ellis was actually considering not telling them the tracks. I didn't follow that up, actually, if they did or not. Because we obviously had venues that we were racing through the entire season, right? We have been at Sebring, we have been at Nurburgring, we have been at Silverstone, but the full tracks, and now we're on the shorter versions. So, let's see.
If I'm not mistaken, are they not the exact same tracks as last qualifiers as well?
Are they? Wait, we have
believe
been at
so.
Sebring School last time. I remember that.
Definitely had Sebring. We definitely had Silverstone because we had the discussion about international. I'm pretty sure we had Nurburgring as well.
Yeah, so it could be the same, basically.
I believe they are. But yeah, I mean,
there's no Virginia doesn't have a shorter version that you can use for that type of
yeah.
racing. It is the problem of getting good racing with only 10 cars, right? I mean, this is a way smaller grid than during our season, so the track needs to be tight and short to
and
really
you
make it work.
Portland much shorter either.
Well, yeah, true. Portland will be hard to get much shorter than that. That is true. Here it is, the entire grid of the Season 2 relegation. All 10 cars, still with all of them having 4 tires. Sidovaya will be very happy about that one. Let's see how they get going here on the second track. Very close right now, everyone. Look at that, how they bunched up here. While they roll towards the start, it will be Peopef once again to start. So he's the pole setter, so he's allowed to dictate when we actually go green on this track. And it will be Filippo with a Corvette that might have a bit more grunt for the start. There is a chance for him. It's not the inside, though, but it's the inside for turn 2. And that's a very tight one. So if Filippo is able to keep side by side with the Porsche, then there's a high chance that HM Engineering might be leading when we're finishing lap 1. But we're on start-finish straight. We're waiting for Peopef to send us into green, into race mode here on the second race of the relegation. And there we go. Everyone's late. It seems like Filippo was a bit late on the acceleration. We see that also on the Noski already spread out behind it, trying to go wide. Beautiful camera shot into turn 1, 3 wide, 4 wide. That got very, very close. There was a Ferrari 488 in trouble. And from all the cars, it is Luis Felipe in second position that seems to spun around and is now in 10th.
Can't imagine, had such a great qualifier, and you just saw them. I think what he was doing, he realized he was leading. He was actually ahead of Peo and sort of just backed off, and I think Peo spotted that perfectly. He must have been staring to his right. The second he saw that big front end of the Corvette dip away, he floored it and left them standing and caught them off guard and got himself quickly to that right-hander as well. As you're talking about, you got to be on the inside going into that connector. Andonovski in second place, but look at this. Sidovaya and Turka Hakkinen pulling the challenge in on the first effort on Sunset Bend, and looks like he may well have made it stick. He's going to be obviously on the inside as well now on the main straight. He should be able to get position. What a great move from Turka, seeing what we didn't see from him on Silverstone.
Yeah, definitely he has to make up those points. He lost them, and Sidovaya is immediately attacking again on the inside, but that might not be good enough. It was a bit of a drift, I would say, from Turka Hakkinen. Slight bumping left and right, and look at that. That is Nico Barkley just saying his chance and saying, if you guys want to fight, I will just throw my Corvette right in there. But he didn't make it stick and lost even another position to Kasper Stolze. So Stolze back in the top 5, Nico Barkley down to 6th, and Shara also only a 9th, Nuno Pinto up to 8th. So all the position swaps we didn't have at Silverstone, we have them here in just the first 2 laps.
And this is Matt Richards as well, putting a challenge straight on the backside. What an interesting start. First race, we were talking about the fact we are expecting to have a lot more chances, especially with that big almond straight, setting people up into Sunset. Certainly you see them all throwing the challenges in exactly where we expected. This track always delivers. Let's have a look at the start now. So Sidovaya, keep your mind on the red car in front, the red and white car, because he ends up going sideways. Now, did he just get nudged there? It looked like it. Looks like Sidovaya caught the Ferrari caught his back. It was a bit of a shunt into the back of each other, and unfortunately he ends up putting him down from second place to 10th.
I think it was actually Sidovaya basically turning that into a chain reaction, tapping the rear of the car next to him, which was Kasper Stolze, and then sending that Ferrari into the HM Engineering Corvette. Very unfortunate. I think that's also, it's the second time now for Sidovaya. Was he not the same driver also in turn 1 in Silverstone?
No, that was Matt Richards. Sidovaya just had the lockup It was Matt Richards
but
actually that ended up going off the start.
Ran into Andonovski? Who was that?
No.
Was that his teammate?
He didn't connect with him.
No, that was
He connected to him, but that's a great move. That is a great move. Up the inside, Matt Richards on Nico Barkley. Oh, he just came back at him. Oh my word, connects heavy with that, and that is Barkley done and dusted. No way coming back from that one. Tire missing. You can see if he can try and squeeze into the pits. You think he can get in the pits? Yeah.
He might just call Advanced Auto Parts right now asking for that used tire that just came in, if he can have that for his Corvette. Nico Barkley, he was way quicker out of Sunset Bend, but yeah, if there's a car in front of you, then you can't just drive into it. And that didn't really work for Nico, so he's in the pits right now. Hopefully they got another set of tires laying around there. Normally for a 20-minute race, you're not really having a lot of spare tires with you, but here they should have that, no problem at all. Do we get as a replay? Yes, that is Nico Bartley, away very much from the outside. So he's opening the door for, I think that was Cedar Via. And then he's way quicker, and he's just overlooking the Corvette in front of him.
Matt Richards. Yeah,
okay,
he just overtaken him. Matt Richards just overtaken him. He just wanted to get back at him, I think. That was what it was.
That was a bit too desperate, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to back off at that point. You've got to realize and accept it. But look at this. This is from 10th place after the spin at the start. Has got himself up to 8th. Managed to capture and take Shara. Shara, who finished 2nd in Silverstone. Big points swing here for Shara, and obviously a lot of drivers going to be looking at this. Obviously the top 5 positions are open. Shara, sure, great points, no doubt about it. Oh, getting very tight in the connector actually. Stoltz at the front there. You can see he's got Matt Richards and Pinto right on his rear end. That was very close, and I think that may well see a challenge coming into Sunset, as they're going to get the setup down Ullman and see whether they can try and get some pace on them and try and get past that Ferrari.
Yeah, it's a great fighting group here that's led by Kaspar Stolze, and definitely Felipe with the HM Engineering. He seems to be a very quick drive out there on the track right now. Overtook Shara already. Look at that. Nuno Pinto following Matt Richards around the outside. But it won't work for Nuno Pinto, but it might work for Matt Richards. No, he went too wide, opening the door for Nuno Pinto. He is through. That will work into turn 1. And that's bad for Shara now, because Pinto was 3rd in the previous race. So the higher Nuno Pinto can climb, the worse for Shara if he's not able to get any position. And there it is, both off. Can't be true. That is Matt Richards. Nuno Pinto off in turn 1. And I think that was Matt Richards' front that was in there, while we have the beautiful slow motion of Nico Bartley and his used tire there. Look at that beautiful pirouette. I'm pretty sure I saw the Russian ballet already calling 1ACO, asking if Nico Bartley is available.
Ooh, I tell you what, Andonovski's getting closer to Peo Pev here. But yeah, I mean, going back to that challenge, you kind of saw it coming, right? But that has put Luis Felipe Capamagian up into 6th place now. After that spin at the start, you could tell, I mean, Matt Richards couldn't do anything about that. He was simply on the inside. He got turned into. Sure, they'd had a long-running battle. Nuno Pinto just didn't give him any room.
Yeah, it was also Matt Richards still having his front end in there, so probably Nuno Pinto thought it is open already and there's no one on the inside. Very unfortunate for both drivers now, finding themselves in 8th and 9th. And just when I said that it's good for Nuno Pinto to climb and bat for Shara if that happens, and at that moment both decide to lose some positions. But Felipe is still on the way up. I wonder, with 10 minutes or 11 minutes still to go, if there's a chance for Felipe to have a big comeback here. He is a quick driver on Sebring. We saw that many times now, like in the qualification here, in the laps. He can overtake people. He did already. So maybe he can catch Stolze, maybe even Via. Who knows? But Andonovski, he definitely wants to catch Peo Pev.
Yeah, I mean, he was 1/100th of a second slower than Peo Pev in qualifying, so we know he's got the pace on this track. At the moment, Andonovski certainly putting the pressure onto Peo Pev. You know, that Porsche, sure, it delivered on Silverstone. It is under pressure here on Sebring. It did look like he was running away with it at the start, but Andonovski has closed the gap by another 1/10 of a second in that lap already. So he's starting to put the pressure on as the tyres... Oh, he's put too much pressure on! Oh no, it sent him wide, but it puts Hakkinen into 2nd place.
What is happening here at Sebring today in the 2nd race? Seems like everyone is going wild. It's just too desperate. Everyone trying to make up as much time as possible. We see the incident between Matt Richards and Nuno Pinto again. I would say that was Nuno Pinto's corner there, and Matt Richards being a bit too optimistic, finding a spot on the inside, a gap that might not have been there anymore.
They were neck and neck down the straight. I don't know. I don't see that. I think they were neck and neck down the straight. They both turned into the first corner, and he knew that the car was always there. There was no doubt about it. But anyway, we'll leave that to Jimmy to decide. That's not really for us to talk about. But with Andonovski going down to 6th place after that spin, it's put Kapamazian up to 5th place now. He keeps climbing after that obviously initial error. This is from Pev. We're going to see him starting to go sideways here, I believe. Yeah, just not quite on the tail,
it's
whether
so
it was just under the wing.
Yeah. Oh, it's very unfortunate. It's so bumpy, so you can easily lose traction there.
Recovered well.
That was lucky that he made his way through. Where's he now? He's in 5th now. He is in 5th, so he now has to hunt down Stolzer. Stolzer was in 5th first place, so a similar result.
This is a big turnaround, Rene. Look at this. So Hakkinen was last in Silverstone. He's up in 2nd place. Sidovaya, obviously also with the DNF in the first race. He's in 3rd place. So it's really shuffling the points up. We're going to be going into the Nurburgring once again with a very, very tight set of points. I mean, we're only 8 minutes to go still. There still could be more action. It seems to be a wild track, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm just afraid of people completely losing their minds right now, but we'll see. You're right. I mean, Pinto, he was 3rd. He's now in 8th. That won't help. Shara was 2nd, now in 7th. So we kind of turn around the mid positions besides Stolzer, because Stolzer is basically where he was in race 1, a 1 position difference. Turka Hakkinen, if he finishes 2nd, that gives him a massive boost, especially with Matt Richards only being in 9th, and we know that Sidovaya didn't score any points in first race due to the dirty air. Don't read chat while actually talking. Due to his DNF in Silverstone. So we'll see what turns out on the scoreboard later on before we head over to Nurburgring. But I think if we actually finish like this, everything will be decided in Nurburgring. Everything will be wide open for everyone to be in the top 5.
You were talking about it, and now it's happening. Kapamazian has chased down Schulze. That was a 2-second gap at one point, and he's back on the rear wing now. Starting to catch in. Schulze is starting to feel the pressure, I feel now. Obviously, he did have a challenge earlier on from, I think it was Matt Richards and Nuno Pinto, wasn't it, earlier on, that were on his back, and they connected with, sorry, it was Barkley. Nico Barkley was in there, but look at this. He has closed that gap considerably. You were talking about whether he could chase down Sidovaya. Well, he is visible in front of Stolzer as well. So this is definitely something that Luis Felipe may be able to do after that 2nd place pole position start. 2nd place pole position, it's not really a thing. 2nd place, 100th of a second off pole position. That's the word I was after to segue it in there. So we know he's got the pace, we know he's got the time, and it seems like he's got the race pace now to try and keep up. And can he push for that 3rd place after that first corner nightmare on the opening lap?
Yeah, but it's not done yet. We've still got 6.5 minutes here. So everything can still happen. Hakkinen also only half a second away, and that's Shara against Nuno Pinto. So Nuno Pinto really applying the pressure here onto the Porsche of BPM.
It's a repeat of Silverstone.
It is.
Pinto is like, I'm back behind this Porsche again. What is going on?
Pinto seems to be a lot quicker. Like, Shara really struggles here at Sebring. I mean, he's nowhere near the pace of what he was able to do in Silverstone. And as you can see, it's not down to the Porsche, I would say, because Payapav is leading with 1. So it's Shara not being on the turf that he wants to be at, and Nuno Pinto obviously wants to make those points and get those points in, because he loses way too much. Now look at that. That was the attack that we only catched half of it, basically. Okay, he only looked up the inside, and there would have been a second chance, but he didn't dive in deep there. But he's all over, speaking of Shara, right now, and I think this time they should be close enough. There is a big chance now for Nuno Pinto. Let's see if Shara covers up the inside. He does, but on Sunset Bet, you can make the move around the outside if you're able to actually get all that traction down. Let's see, both running very fast into it. Pinto could go with a crossover. Nope, not enough space. It's Shara parking on the apex there, but the Corvette way quick out of the corner.
Yeah, way quicker. The question is, will he leave him any room? You can see already Shara trying to make it as wide as he can coming into turn 1. We've seen teams connecting so many times here, but this time the little Porsche hangs on strong. But the question is, how long will this race go on? How long will they be able to keep this position at the moment? We can see that, Stoltz has been passed actually by Capamagian as well. So Luis Felipe Capamagian's got himself up into 4th place, now chasing down Cedar Vaya.
Yeah, I really like to see the HM Engineering driver coming back here because he deserves it. I mean, he was quick in qualification. He deserves to get a score bit here in Sebring. Very unlucky with the race start.
It just goes to show, though, you know, the mentality. Oh, here we go. Nuno Pinto. Yeah, I mean, he's got him dead to rights on the straights, hasn't he? The question is, can he do it on Sunset? Because Pinto, once again, went to the inside and looks like he's done really well at defending this. And Pinto's going to be getting a little frustrated with just 4 minutes to go. But going back to it, it just goes to show the mentality you have, you know, having a big error. Oh, he's got him this time, up the inside. The big mentality to hold on. Jesus,
you're jinxing. Stop jinxing it. Really?
I mean, he backed out. He backed out. That is actually what we were talking about with Richards and Pinto. Like, he backed out that time. That's an error. This is how. Okay, that's how Capamagian went through. That was just a big error from Casper.
Yeah, he didn't got the run out well from turn 1 and then shot braking into turn 2. It didn't work out for him, so he's now down to 5th, same position as in race 1. And Turkka Häkkinen, he's now finally closing the gap. It was half a second before, now it's down to 0.3 of a second between Payapeth and Turkka Häkkinen. Let's see, can make a move here. He's still got 3 minutes to go. That is enough time, especially with his pace being quicker right now, I would say, because he was able to close that gap, have that comeback. Obviously, got a bit lucky with the cars that spun out in front of him, but still, the pace is there. He just needs to find a way around Payapeth.
Can he do it? Can Turkka come out on top? Häkkinen absolutely needs the points after a disastrous start on Silverstone. Peo once again hanging on. Nuno Pinto still on the tailpipe of Chiara as well. Chiara hanging on. It's such a night and day performance though from Chiara. Obviously 2nd place on Silverstone. Clearly hasn't quite pulled it together here on Sebring. Obviously, the Porsche has it in the bag. Payapeth at the moment currently leading this, so it clearly has the performance to do well on here. But can Turkka Häkkinen turn his nightmarish performance on Silverstone around and get one past? It's not going to happen this lap. 2 minutes to go. Time is running out.
Yeah, not much left in the second race. I really want to see Turkka Häkkinen making that move. Like, that would be a great finish to the second race, but it's the same between Chiara and Nuno Pinto, with Nuno Pinto seeming to be a lot quicker because he can always close the gap after an attack, no matter how much he drops from it when he drops out of his attack. He's still coming back and closing that gap so quickly. So definitely Nuno Pinto should be in front of Chiara, and let's see how long Chiara can actually hold on to that pressure from the AAA Esports driver, and that will be the same with Häkkinen and Path, although Häkkinen now back to half a second gap between him and the leader. So, let's see, 1.5 minutes still to go.
I just wonder whether Capamagian's going to try and send it as well. He's a little off coming into Sunset, so hasn't got the chance this time around. Pinto may well do. Chiara's been pulling inside, does again, tries to go defensive, tries to force him wide as he can. You can see already just trying to squeezes him out there. We've seen this time again, but this time they connect on Sunset. It's cleanish, but it does force Nuno Pinto once again to back away. He's going to get one more chance at this. Hopefully he doesn't send it too hard.
And that will be the worst now, all of them losing positions again, but it is Nuno Pinto around the outside into turn 1. That gives him insight for turn 2, but no, look at that. The Porsche, a bit quicker there through turn 1. See, having the engine in the back helps there a bit in terms of acceleration out of the corner. With that, he was able to stay ahead. Payopef still defending the lead against Turkka Häkkinen. Polapar Motorsport against Nito Velux.
Capamagian on the back end of Cedar Vaya now. We're also coming into what could be the final Sunset here with, 12 seconds to go. I'm not too sure Peo Pev is just going into Sunset, so we may just have another lap. Actually, I think it should finish here, right here. Pev about to go over the line. Hakkinen through on the inside. Is it going to be enough? Hakkinen does manage to get himself into first place. It does go over the line. Hakkinen steals it on the final corner. Kapamagian goes through as well. And oh no, it was a spin in the end of Facito Via. We'll have to look at the replay what happened there. We saw they were going into it, but it was all about Turkka Hakkinen stealing victory on Sunset. What a performance. What a turnaround from 9th on Silverstone to 1st on Sebring.
Well, that was quite a finish, I would say. Turkka Hakkinen really showcasing his skill here and making the move at the very last second, not giving Pejopev any chance to recover from that, making his way up to the front again. So the Nito Velox driver will take his first win here in the relegation in race 2.
Keep your eyes
Very
peeled.
important. Look how late he was on the brakes. Slightly tap on the Porsche there. But I think that was not enough to really unsettle the Porsche there. And then Turkka
What's going on behind them, though? I'm looking behind them. What happens? Well, there's Kapamagian. I can't see Sidovai anywhere. So something maybe happened going into it. Let's have a look. So there's Turkka. Look behind. There's Kapamagian. He's already done him. So something's happened before there. Did he just lock up? Was there a knock?
That felt to me on camera like a knock, to be honest, but I don't know if there was a car behind him or just...
Yeah, it was Kapamagian that was behind him or alongside him, but let's have a look from his angle. Luis Felipe. I mean, it would be a shame because he's put such a great performance into comeback after the spin on the first corner.
We see Sidovaya actually get into the pits again, but we want to see the replay of what happened there. So that's Sidovaya. Oh, it is Felipe. Wow, he was way quick into Sunset Bend, turning around Sidovaya. I have to say, it looks like this is definitely not the day for Sancho drivers, it seems. Very harsh day so far. Wow. I think Jimmy Ellison will not let that slip. I'm quite sure about that one.
That was a third, fourth. That was a lot of points up for grabs there. Unfortunately, well, of course, this is how it stands at the moment. We don't know what penalties may apply, but that is how it stands. And Turkka Hakkinen, let's not take away anything because that was a fantastic finish and a drive from Turkka Hakkinen, turning around for Pejopev. Well, he's pretty much home and dry, isn't he? First and second place in the first 2 races. He is looking great going into the Nurburgring. But for Turkka Hakkinen, there were very much needed points after a 9th place in the previous race on Silverstone. Had to turn it around. Chiara hung on ahead of Nuno Pinto. He hung on in that 6th place, of course. He also had a 2nd place on Silverstone. Pinto had a 3rd place on Silverstone. So the points really are getting turned around. Andonovski, a 4th and a 5th for him now, so he's looking pretty consistent as well. But yeah, what a turnaround. What a race. I'm loving the short circuit on Sebring. We had a lot of action now.
It definitely always proves to be a good circuit for that, and I love the finish. I have to say, seeing side by side on relegation over the finish line, that's exactly what I want. And I see chat's already asking for the points table. That will come right after a short break, and then we're back with points tables and race 3. back from the break with the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series powered by VCO. The relegation, I don't want to go into details. So the last 5 spots for the GT Pro Series Season 3. Guys not making it, they will find themselves in GT Challenge Season 3, the feeder series to the Pro. We're back with Lee Smith and me, Rainier Butler, bringing you all the action from 3 races, and 2 we had already. So we're done with Silverstone, we're done with this one here with Sebring in the US, and we should take a quick look at the points table before we head over to Nurburgring for the very last race of the evening. Also waiting if race control's actually letting us know about penalties, because Sebring was quite harsh, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few connections in there. There's a lot of work for race control, I believe, in that race. If you think of the multitude of incidents we had throughout it. So, but yeah, moving on to Nurburgring, I can tell you this is a different layout than the qualifications in Season 2. So this going into Season 3 is a different layout. It is the sprint no chicane, if anyone's interested on the exact name in game. So yeah, slightly different layout than we had in the previous season. It still does mean obviously there is that relatively sharp corner at the end of the first straight, which obviously can lead into a couple of problems.
Yeah, Turn 1 in Nürburgring, I mean, we all know those iconic shots from the TV cams. We really ducked down the hill, basically, into Turn 1, then this huge dip on the inside, on the apex there. If you really go over the curb, then it might even be way too much, because it hurts your car going over there. So will be very, very interesting there. But we're just waiting for the points to trickle in so that we know who has a shot at the top 5. So once again, reminding everyone out there, it's 10 drivers, and the top 5 after these 3 races, they will find themselves in the GT Pro Series Season 3, where they can win money and stuff basically every race, plus obviously in the championship. And I wouldn't say that we had that discussion quite often, like what's the better racing? Is it Pro or Challenge? I would say both delivered amazing racing in Season 2. I really enjoyed listening to Aidan Millwood and Lewis McGlade on the GT Challenge stream every other Monday, where we basically had Offley, right, where we didn't do GT Pro Series. And the racing there, with everyone pushing to go into Pro, it's just, sometimes it feels a bit different, because everyone there seems to be a bit more energetic when it comes to making things happen, and I absolutely love that action.
Do you feel there's maybe a little too much respect then in Pro? Because obviously some of the racers have known each other for a very long time. And, you know, if anyone's does make an error, sometimes they get the whole community on their backs. I don't know, maybe. I wouldn't
say we had too much respect in GT Pro. I think we had quite a few moments with cars bumping into each other. Obviously, that's due to the very close racing. If we looked at the qualification results in Season 1, in Season 2, and at every single race, basically, we had so far in GT Pro, it was a tight race. There wasn't an easy one anywhere. And we had some absolutely crazy moments. Remember the spin from Roman Esports driver. Who was it there? It was Yuri Kastup.
I was trying to think which one it was.
Spa,
yeah.
Taking out his own teammate on the very last race. I mean, the heartbreaking moments we saw.
Well, they were both going for the overtake, right? That was one of those moments. And yeah, that was
but
interesting.
Enough heartbreaking moments of the past. Let's talk about heartbreaking moments of the current time. And that is what we see on the scoreboard. So, Path leading after first and second so far. Obviously, that puts him up ahead. Turka Hakkinen now in second. Very interesting. So, he's now all of a sudden very much in this top 5. Shara dropped down to third after not that good result in Sebring. Luis Felipe found himself on 4th, but I'm not sure if there will be a penalty coming his way for what happened between him and Cedar Vaya. Andanovsky in 5th. Kasper Stolze, who should have been in the top 5, but all of a sudden, due to what happened and how many points Turka Hakkinen scored, he's now in 6th, which means that is the first spot for the John Lisa Esports driver that wouldn't make it into Pro. Same for Nuno Pinto, he's in 7th. And then Nico Bartley, who had that big crash at Sebring, lost another wheel. And then the 2 Sancho drivers, Matt Richard and Cedar Vaya, basically plagued by bad luck, I would say, during relegation. Definitely not where these drivers should be, because I know they can be very, very fast. But fortunately, not today, and today is where it counts.
Yeah, it hasn't been the greatest performance, unfortunately, or certainly been, like you say, issues. A couple of send-it moves as well have maybe caught them off guard. But that is how it stands, and what a great race from Turko Häkkinen. Now, can he continue that performance here on the Nurburgring? Of course, we'll see as we move into the qualification who is going to step up. It was just 100th of a second separating first and second in the previous qualifying, and a lot of work to do. Remember, the top 5, which by the way is currently equal, 4th, 5th and 6th and points, with just 1 point difference from Nuno Pinto. The top 5 will go through, so this is really on a knife edge going into Nurburgring.
I would like to... Maybe we should have a quick look at the layout so everyone knows what's happening. I'm not quite sure what Payo Pef is doing there. Let's jump on a driver that we didn't saw that often today. I'm currently checking if that would be Nico Bartley or Kasper Stolze. I think we should go on board with them, have a quick look at the entire layout while we're on board with Nico Bartley already. So let's do that. So obviously 90-degree left, 90-degree right. There's a bit of banking in there as well. I once walked this track and it's actually way hard to walk up the hill.
Recently, it was a bit
no, I
snowy
walked,
as well, wasn't it?
walked the entire Nordschleife in 4 hours 50, but I didn't do the GP track on that day. So I wanted to see the chicane, but we didn't. So we got the side-by-side, Kasper Stolze and Nico Bartley both, and it's the quick version. Oh, wow, that was sideways action for Nico Bartley. Let's see if that pays off for him or not. And then Kasper Stolze for John Alesi Esports. They obviously want to make it into pro. Can they do it? That's the big question. So far, it's Turko Häkkinen leading. I absolutely love that, man. He was nowhere near that in race 1, and then relegation once again shows us that everything can be totally different. Shara only in 6th, Nuno Pinto without a lap so far in 8th, which means there's another 2 drivers that didn't cross the line yet. But this is the current pole setter, Turko Häkkinen, coming off a win in Sebring with that last-second overtake on Payo Pef. And let's see if he set that already. Continue this here at Nurburgring and get Nito Velox into the GT Pro Series for the very first time. It will be nice. I love seeing new teams, new drivers in the Pro Series. It's great seeing all the others return, but hey, maybe one day we could get a race where Hernajowski isn't winning, and maybe that's Turko Häkkinen. Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic to see whether, he can turn that around. Clearly, and there's a couple of things you can take away from it. Like maybe he was nervous in the first race. Maybe he doesn't get up with Silverstone. Maybe it was the rain. He's not a good rain driver. I don't know. There's a lot of things that you could look at that. But clearly was fantastic on Sebring. And it seems that he's bringing it once again, bringing the pace. He's a 10th ahead at the moment of Andonovski. So certainly putting it about so far and looking great, obviously in second place in terms of points, so we know he's got it in him. Can he now try and take it on? We haven't seen Payo Pef out yet, so we don't know what he's going to bring to the table. Sidovaya, we're seeing him setting his first time. He did go purple in the first sector there, so obviously looking good for him, his own lap. We'll see whether that continues, along with Nuno Pinto also yet to set a time.
I was just wondering what would need to happen to one of the Sunshine drivers to make it through, but I think that's a bit far-fetched right now with the 2 results they had. But Fire now up to second, Payo Pef again leading. I mean, that's what he said at the end of GT Pro, right? Like, okay, if it has to be a relegation, then I'll put everything in there. And it seems like you really want to make up for the mediocre result in the Accelerate series previously, while we see the session getting ended. As Jimmy Allison said before, there will be no laps after the countdown ran out. So that's why it got stopped. It's not like he's doing that whenever he likes, but everyone was warned before.
But if I'm not mistaken, that Nuno Pinto didn't set a time. Yeah, he didn't. He didn't set a time. He was on the. He was on the final corner.
Sebring as well, like to get a time in. Like, I wonder why. Is he like not keeping in between the white lines, or is he just waiting till the very last second? I'm not quite sure.
Left it a little too late, it would appear, but it is Peopef on pole position for the third time. Sidovaya this time alongside him, and Turka Häkkinen just behind Peopef on that tailpipe after taking the win on Sebring. Andonovski keeping consistent in 4th place once again, and Kapamajian this time in the 5th place for the HM Engineering. And it does mean the Zancho of Matt Richards is there in 6th place. Can Sidovaya turn his troubles around, I wonder, with that 2nd place start?
It will be very interesting to see that Turka Häkkinen can basically continue with what he ended in Sebring, chasing down Peopef, and then Sidovaya in between there, who still wants to show that he deserves to be in GT Pro. Was very unlucky in the first 2 races, so let's see what he can do here. So, Bottlapal Motorsport next to Zuncho for the first row, then Nito Velux and Pinsim Dryless Esports in 3 and 4. And 5th and 6th will be HM Engineering, Luis Felipe and Matt Richard for Sancho. Speaking of Shara, only in 6th, and then Nico Barkley in 8th, also waiting for a better result than the previous 2 races. And then Kasper Stolze, only in 9th, currently in 6th, so he would be the one that wants to score at least a bit better to make it just into the top 5 there to go through to GT Pro. And Nuno Pinto, he had 2 pro seasons so far. He was there for the first one. He managed to stay in pro for season 2, but that might be the end of his legacy here, at least for now in the GT Pro Series, if he can't overcome this and have a way stronger result than his qualification.
Yeah, so let's just be clear. From 2nd place, Turka Häkkinen on 57 points, down to 9th place on 45 points. That really isn't a big gap. 12 points, all that separates 2nd to 9th. Anyone can have a big stand-up performance here, and you're gonna go through. It's looking likely at the moment. Peopef, the leader on 65 points, and the pole position sitter here on the Nurburgring, is looking golden. But everybody else, it is up for grabs.
Now let's see how the start goes. So far, we always had 1 car, basically, spinning in turn 1. Everything else was kind of clear, kind of clean. And it's once again Peopef starting the race. This time with Sidovaya next to him. And then Turka Häkkinen and Felipe right next to him. They already spreading. Interesting. Peo didn't open the race
He's gotta go.
yet. Now he goes. There we go. Turka Häkkinen already in contact with Sidovaya. But look at Andonovski. He might be slipping through in turn 1. They go side by side down into the hairpin. Strong braking. Seems like the Sancho car can keep 2nd, and Turka Häkkinen being forced to the outside, might even lose the position to Andonovski, but he's now on the inside, so he might get it back. Yes, he does. While Matt Richards tries to go around the outside, but Kasper Stolze is already in. Look at that Ferrari. Look at the 488, who's trying to squeeze through and make his way back in the top 5.
Kapamajian trying to squeeze past Turka Häkkinen there, but in the end gets forced back down into 6th place. Matt Richards now into 5th. The 2 Zanchos certainly performing a lot better here. And look at this barging through. Stolz trying to work his way through in that Ferrari with Shara up behind them. A very, very tight opening there. And that was all on Peopef. He left it to the last minute. He had, a spin. That's Richards going out once again in the Zancho. That's going to send him toiling almost certainly out of this race and the promotion chances.
Oh, it's again this Sancho Corvette there spinning off the track. I can't get worse for these guys. Someone has to give them a break. Really deserve it by now. Turka Häkkinen, what happened to him though? That he's now in 9th. He was 3rd previously, and now he's chasing down Nuno Pinto. Hopefully we get that as a replay. I probably overlooked that. Oh, he was tapping Cedo. He was tapping Richards. And then we see him in the background, like I'm just checking the previous footage, see him in the background in the dirt. So that's why he's all the way back. Nuno Pinto connecting with Nico Bartley here, both keeping the cars on track. Very important here, look at that, how close it is between them. And it might be Turka Häkkinen who could get the advantage out of this, especially now that Nico Bartley lost a lot of pace, but he's blocking to the inside. Still, Turka Häkkinen made it. That might not be enough for this turn to make it through.
No, but you can see he's clearly obviously got the pace over these two drivers. We'll see whether he can keep it up. Peopev currently leading. Cedar Vaya in second place. Needs all the points he can get, of course, after that DNF in the first race. He's way down the bottom of the table at the moment. And the Novsky here, the nose cone, just squeezing ahead of Stoltz there. And now we see the little ping comes through. Having all sorts of problems, so clearly some issues possibly on the client side there. But either way, it does mean he's managed to get past Nico Barkley already. We know he's got the pace and he's going to have to go for it.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Hakkinen. I think it was a phrase that dropped him back, but he's already passed Nico Barkley. So he's now on to Nuno Pinto. And Cedar Vaya now, the only one that can keep up the Sancho flag, it seems. Currently being in second position, half a second off Payo Paf, and then another second in front of Felipe. So it's looking good for him. But Stoltz in fifth. I think he has to overtake Ananovsky to make it back into the top 5. Because basically now Shara, Stolzer, Ananovsky and Felipe are all going for these spots there.
Yeah. Kapamagian fourth at the moment in points. But, I mean, Kapamagian, Andonovsky and Stoltz all on 53 points at the moment. So they all need to really try and get something. It's Shara, actually, that may well miss out because, obviously, he's down in the positions. And he's currently sitting on 55 points. So he would be the man that would actually lose out as the positions currently stand. But, of course, we've got a long way to go still. Just 13 and a half minutes to go in this race. A lot of action to happen. You can see already Peopev starting to feel a little bit of pressure here from Sidovaya.
Yeah, definitely. We saw that in the Sebring race. Like, you can catch up to Peopev, and you can even take him down. It's like Hakkinen did in the very last corner of the race. And Sidovaya, wow, launching at Peopev here in the braking zone. He's getting a lot closer. Matt Richards, the quickest car so far on the track, 120.8 for Sancho, even though he's not within the top 5 right now on the track, but he's still going fast. But you're right, like, due to all the mixed results we have, normally you would say Shara should be easily inside the top 5 because his results were kind of always around that. But since we had these massive shifts in points, it could be Shara losing out, especially since Nuno Pinto is still on him and Kasper Stolz is in front. So Shara has to defend against Nuno Pinto, but he also has to find a way around the Ferrari 488 of John Alesi Esports. If that's not happening, then he might have 3 good races, but will not be enough to make it into the Pro Series for the 3rd time. Yeah, he was in Season 1, I think.
I'm getting deja vu here, Rene. I gotta be honest. I feel like Shara was in the same position last time around. We'll see whether he can make it work for him because Nuno Pinto is putting a lot of pressure on his backside. But Stoltz is hanging on in this Ferrari. Nuno Pinto sends it. What a move! Just absolutely clips it past him. Beautiful.
The really crazy part is, and we said that in Season 1 relegation, remember, it was Shara dropping out, and I was wondering, like, oh wait, Payo could just lose out and give the point to Shara, so both cars make it, right? Because obviously, it's my team, so I was trying to calculate that. But these two are not talking to each other in voice. So once again, oh, look at that. Cedar Vaya trying to find a way around Payo Paf, but even with a bit of tapping here and there, love tips, it wasn't enough yet to pass the Porsche, and Payo is really defending hard by now. It seems like Cedar Vaya is a lot quicker, sending it on the outside. They touch, and it's once again essential. What was that? Was he trying to get out of the way, or was he just thinking without the rear wing I will be quicker on the straight and I'll make the move stick next time? I'm not quite sure who's on fault there. Might be Payo, was very hard on the defensive line there. But
this is Pinto's move. Look at this. Zoom.
Sending it up the inside there.
It just totally caught Shara off guard. Yeah, he was not expecting. I mean, who would? Wave for Italy though. Wave everyone.
like for real. Best thing will be for Payopath to give up the lead and let Shara through. But it will end as Season 1. Shara will drop out by 1 point probably.
Okay, we now have the battle we wanted to see on Sebring, which was Kapamagian and Pierpev once again. Now, Anovsky obviously now moving up to 3rd and Stoltz into 4th. That looked like Capimagine may be going through, but I can tell you somebody is trying to go through. Turka Hakkinen on the back of Chiara now, and you can see just ahead of them is also Nuno Pinto trying his best to get past Stoltz, but it's not working out. Hakkinen going almost sideways there as Nico Barkley looks to sneak up the inside.
What a race we had already, and we still have 10 minutes to go here. It seems like that's the next big fight that we'll see, and Payopath dedicated to do whatever is necessary, it seems, to get the second win of the day. He could have had the third by now, but Turka Hakkinen stole it away from him in Sebring, and it seems like at this time it will be Felipe Capimagin to try and steal it away as well, but didn't work out for Cedar Via previously, and I still would like to see play of that actually to figure out who was in fault there. We have a beautiful look and replay into turn one. Oh, Payopath not that great. Through the hairpin, Felipe got around way better, and that was Nuno Pinto against Kasper Stolzer. And then Shara now dropping way back, and now he has Hakkinen behind him, and we know that Hakkinen is a lot quicker right now on this track. So, I'll see Spigno Shara dropping out of pro here.
I think so as well. Hakkinen is certainly all over him at the moment. We're just got to hope there's no connections. It looks like it's going to be clean as you can. Andonovski's actually dropped off quite a bit from Capimagin, so there's a big gap between there. And obviously then there's this battle between 4th down to 8th place, really. They are all within reach of one another. You can see them all on your screen there. That's Luis Felipe actually having a little look around the outside, trying to cut on the inside of Peo Pev. That's the leader that Capimagin's having a little go at there. Meanwhile, this pack continues to nibble away at each other.
Yeah, great racing everywhere now. We've got a lot of fights. We're in a big group here. And Nico Bartley trying to close the gap to Turka Hakkinen and maybe make the move on Shara. Let's see. They still got 8 minutes to go. And Luis Felipe is locking on to Payopath, to the current leader. He was defending it against Cedar Via. Can he hold on a second time here against the HM Engineering driver? Oh, looking up the inside. Lucky there was no contact, I think. And that's another lap that Payopath can lead. We got yellow in sector 3. Not quite sure what happened there. But this looks like Payopath will have hands full for the last 7.5 minutes, because there are 2 Corvettes coming from the back. They both want what? They both want to make a pass, because Andonovski and Felipe both have the chance to still make it inside the top 5. And Nuno Pinto is now 4th. So, yeah, a lot of things happening. I mean, once again, the entire scoreboard will be mixed up.
Oh, I can't imagine having a look at this. Andonovski's getting closer as well. Payopath is definitely losing ground at this as this track beds in. The big Logitech front end of Capimagin. He would love to get himself a win here. I think this is going to be Nico Barkley. Yes, it is. We see what happened. He definitely went off. That's what the yellows were for. Just got a little too sideways just before the pits. Ends up going into the pits as well as he collects himself, which is why we see him now DNF. He's done and out. Puts Matt Richards up into 8th place. Back to the front of the pack. Luis Felipe Capimagin all over Payopath. Payopath lost out on the race win on Sebring. Could have got the lot. As it stands, did win on Silverstone in style, long way ahead of everyone else. And now trying to get the second win here on Nurburgring. But Luis Felipe Capimagin, a name that you may well get to start recognizing from the HM Engineering. It looks like he's in a great spot, but that's gone too close. You can't do that. That doesn't work, and that puts him back down to 3rd. Luckily, it didn't wipe out Payopath.
Yeah, that was very close once again. Mate, that was not the right way of making it through, but on the other hand, Payopath is really defending hard right now. He's not willing to give up the spot, even though it wouldn't change much for him, right? I mean, as long as he keeps the car on the track, he will be in GT Pro Season 3, so he doesn't have to score that win. But it seems like for all the points that he wasn't able to score, oh, it was Felipe actually sliding previously.
Yeah, he was braking. He was hard on the brakes. Yeah, it just slid, carried him through.
But it seems like all the points that Payopath wasn't able to score during the season with the Porsche not being up to pace, and let's be honest, a lot of quicker guys in the season. He wants to prove it that he's at least the quickest in the relegation, but I'm just feeling I'm just fearing that he's taking too much risk to keep this lead that isn't worth a lot by now. On the other hand, giving the lead to Ananovsky and Felipe, or even Pinto, will make it even harder for his teammates picking up Shara to stay within GT Pro. So it's really hard to tell by now, especially now that Turka Hakin is in 7th.
Absolutely. At the moment, this is the race for position. This is the race for GT Pro Season 3 with Turka Hakkinen, 57 points. Chiara currently in 6th place on 55 points. Stolz and Pinto on 53 points. And Kapamagin, you may as well throw in there actually. All on 53 points. Andonovsky as well. Sorry, Nuno Pinto on 52. So all of these drivers within just a couple of points of one another. So these points mean absolutely everything. So with just 4 minutes to go, everyone's going to be looking to get that overtake.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. I think we did not see all of the attacks yet, that's for sure. Now that Felipe has to take back his 2nd position from Andonovsky, which will start another fight here, seems like Shara is not capable of keeping up with Stolze nor Nuno Pinto. They both got away from him, and Turka Hakkinen and back, while Race Control actually gave me the current standings without penalties, which would list Payopav first, then Ananovsky, then Felipe, then Hakkinen, and then Shara. So with 4th position for Nuno Pinto, it wouldn't be enough yet for him to make it back into the top 5.
So it just goes to show you can't leave anything on the track. You've got to make sure you do as best you can. Once again, going into that chicane, just a little hot on the brakes there. Stolz just clipping slightly onto Pinto. It does mean Shara couldn't make anything move. Of course, he needs to defend himself with Hakkinen hot on his rear end as well. And they are all so tight going around the bends once again. 3 minutes to go. Payopav in the lead in the Porsche. Yes, I say it in a surprising manner because it has been all about the Callaway Corvettes throughout the season, but right now the Porsche absolutely delivering when it counts.
We've got a view of Felipe looking at Ananovsky and then Shara looking at, that's Nuno Pinto and Kasper Stolze. So Stolze is the Ferrari 488, and then that should be Nuno Pinto on 4th with another Callaway Corvette, as I just said. Lots of them on the grid. 2.5 minutes to go. Payopav so far more of a maybe defenseman of football here in this race, kinda trying to block all the ways, make sure that no one can pass him and take away the win. But we saw that happen in Sebring on the last corner, and we might see a rerun of that here with Ananovsky and Felipe both creeping closer and closer to the Porsche driver. Oh, that was Felipe quickly looking up the inside because he was a bit later on the brakes. Obviously, he wants to close that gap, so you need to make up that time somewhere. And then,
there's no doubt about it to me. Luis Felipe Kapmazin is a quick driver. It's just whether he can get his overtakes in the right spot. He's clearly got the race pace, no doubt about it, and certainly very good in qualifying as well. But he's just struggled a couple of times now and again to get those overtakes. We saw him put some brilliant overtakes in Sebring, but at the moment he's been struggling on the Nurburgring to collect it at the right time, at the right point.
Look at how close they are now. We'll go towards attack, all the attacks in the last lap, I fear. Nuno Pinto had a very quiet race so far once he reached 4th position, because Stolze is not close enough to get in any mood there to might make a move, and Pinto's also not close enough to HM Engineering here on 3rd to move up ahead. So it'll be very interesting to see. Ananovsky against Felipe Kapamagin, and then Payopav up front for the last minute here in the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series, powered by VCO. Obviously, thanks to our sponsors, Fanattack and VCO, making this series possible and making it even better than the racing action already is. Once again through hairpin, seems like the Porsche tends to stay on the outside there. You see the Corvettes dropping way deeper into the apex. But they are coming closer. Look at that. Payopav's not getting away with that Porsche.
Your butt doesn't thank you for that big drop around the hairpin inside, that's for sure. But luckily these guys don't feel it like they would in a real car, that's for sure. But Pev, oh, is he hanging on to this one? The question is, will he lose it on the last corner like he did on Sebring? He's going to be absolutely determined to hang on to it. He's been defensive, honestly, for the last 10 minutes here on the Nurburgring. He started off great, managed to get himself away, but once again just having a little peek up the inside, and Andonovski really wants to try and make it work out for him, this being the final lap of the race. Nuno Pinto currently in 4th, with Stolze in 5th and Sciarra at 6th, Hakkinen in 7th. Those positions have stayed steady. Will anybody be able to put a move in here in the final corners?
Oh, look at that. Felipe is going for it on the very last turn, just like Sebring, but this time not for the lead. Filippo up to 2nd, Andonovski on 3rd. Pev scoring his 2nd win in the relegation. That's Nuno Pinto across the line, Kasper Stolze across the line, and then Sciarra in 6th, Hakkinen in 7th, Richards in 8th, and Cedar Vire in 9th. Does that change anything? I mean, this could get Filippo on 2nd overall, but it doesn't really matter as long as you're in the top 5. But wow,
great
what
move.
A finish again.
A great move. A great move. We were talking about, we knew he'd got the pace. We know he'd got the nous. We saw him make a brilliant comeback on Sebring to get himself into those top points, and does it once again on Andonovski there. Just a cheeky little maneuver. He was, I believe, in 4th place coming into this one, equal on points with Andonovski. So obviously just confirming his place in that top 5 positions. What a great race.
It definitely was, and I love that we get these last turn moves on a regular in the relegation, basically. And this is the result without penalties of this race. And if we do not keep any penalties in mind for now, we would have Pev, Luis Felipe Camachian, and Timothy Andonovski, Turka Hakkinen, and Zbigniew Sciarra in Season 3 of the GT Pro Series. That means no Kasper Stolze, although he was always basically where he was now, 5th, 4th, 6th. So very unfortunate for him here. John Alesi, Esports driver, never good enough to score just a bit more, a tiny bit more to make it. And yeah, that's the same for Nuno Pinto, who after 2 seasons of GT Pro Series will have to say goodbye for now, as a AAA Esports driver definitely drops out, or at least without penalties, drops out of the Pro Series.
Yeah, I mean, we had great races, no doubt about it. Sebring being the one that had the most action. It was overtakes every lap, which often is the case even on the full circuit. Obviously, when you've got that cut short, it makes it even tighter for everybody. But Nurburgring and Pev, honestly, he's going to be gutted that he lost out on all 3 wins by 1 little corner.
Well, at least that got us a good action on the screen. I mean, you have to give it to Turka Hakkinen. I mean, that was incredible. And he really deserves making it into pro if it ends like this.
Yeah, obviously it's some very tight points. We've got to see where the any incidents that have been happening throughout it. Race control, obviously, going to have to try and figure out, make sure any moves. There were quite a few incidents throughout that, as we did expect. Silverstone, honestly, was probably the calmest, which was pretty crazy considering it was soaking wet.
That's true. I mean, I love that we saw a rain race. We had a few more rain races in Season 2. As I said already, there will be Season 3 for GT Challenge and for GT Pro. GT Pro will see a few changes. That's everything I can say for now, I would say, because that's up to Jimmy Ellison, not me. But there will be some cool changes to the format, and we will probably have an additional show before we start into Season 3. So make sure that you watch our social media outlets and everything else to be aware of that when it starts. This is the points table without any penalties applied. And that sees Kasper Stolze missing it out by 1 point. Nuno Pinto missing it out by 1 point. Matt Richards by 2. And Nico Bartley by 4. And unfortunately, Cedar Vire, horrendous races he had here. But still, that was good. Everyone, let's be honest here, everyone on this list could have made it into the top 5 with the potential they showed today.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference is obviously just 1 point. 1 point between Shara and Stoltz. As you say, we don't know any other penalties. I can't think of any penalties, certainly for Shara in there, or anyone above them. Maybe for Kapamajian, obviously, with the connection with Sidovaya on Sebring, but it was a pretty intense 3 races. Great to see some new faces potentially making it through to GT Pro Series 3. I'm looking forward to see what is going to happen, how things are going to change, and what Jimmy's cooking up.
Yeah, will be interesting. So Season 3, make sure to check out the rFactor 2 socials. Be aware of everything that's happening. For now, that's it. We will post the top 5 that made it through. Don't worry about it after Jimmy Allison had a look at all the incidents and the replays. Thanks for watching. Thanks VCO and Fantech for supporting the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series powered by VCO. And see all of you guys in that special show just right before Season 3 starts. Goodbye.